Good evening, everyone. My name is Michelle Sear. I'm a staff member with AARP Florida, and I'm thrilled to be here with you this evening. Tonight, you're in for a special treat. For those of you who have joined us before, you're very familiar with Sonia with Q Wellness, and she'll be doing another virtual session with us today. Today is Hatha Yoga, which I'm really looking forward to. And so just so everyone knows, AARP is not doing any in-person events for the rest of this year, but have no fear, we have packed the calendar full of all kinds of fun, engaging events, all virtual, things that you can do with us from the comfort of your own home or anywhere you'd like. And in fact, many of these live sessions are also being recorded, so you'll be able to find them on the AARP Florida Virtual Library on YouTube. I see several of you have joined us from AARP Florida's Facebook page and our YouTube channel. We're really glad that you've joined us today. Again, you can find videos on our virtual channel and tons of upcoming live events, everything from cooking to caregiving, finances, to just all kinds of fun, something for everyone's interest. And so with no further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Sonia of Q Wellness, who will be doing Hatha Yoga with us this evening. Hi, Sonia.
Hello, Michelle. I just want to do a check because my new camera has just done something interesting, so I can't see you, but I want to make sure you can see me. And so for everyone out there joining us for class tonight, I just welcome you. I'm so glad you're joining here. Michelle, if something comes up that you need to interrupt as I'm moving through class, please chime in and let me know that I need to fix something on this end because I can't see it from across the room, especially with my screen blank. Let's get started, everyone. So first, I want to make sure that you have what we need for class. You're going to need a sticky mat, otherwise known as a yoga mat. Standing on floor or carpeting can slip. We can slide sometimes if our feet are wide on carpeting, and that's not safe. So safety first. Make sure you have a yoga mat, a sticky mat, so that you've got friction underneath you. And then also, you're going to want a couple yoga foam blocks, and so we'll use those. And at least one, maybe even two folded blankets or towels are really good to help our body feel comfortable and move into some of these poses, so that instead of forcing our body to move and look like something that we see on posters or screen images, instead we use all these props, the yoga toys. We use them to help our body adjust and modify so that we can get the sensation and the benefit of the pose without forcing our body to reach where it doesn't need to be reaching. The other piece that we're going to use is a yoga strap or dish towel. Perhaps we'll get there tonight. So that's really a backup because I've got some nice things planned for moving our body. Let's start by just taking a couple deep breaths. Just be here, gather, sit cross-legged, please, as comfortably as you can. And take a couple breaths just to gather, just to begin, just to focus on being present here for these next minutes together. Okay, now we're going to practice breathing. And there are lots of different types of breathing, lots of different methods, lots of different approaches, whether we're trying to calm our nervous system, whether we're trying to relax ourselves, whether we're trying to energize the brain to be alert and awake and ready for a presentation or an interview. This breath that we're going to do today is for lung health, for respiratory pulmonary health. So this breath is really important in today's environment. And it's called a 3-stage breath. If you've practiced with me before, you will be acquainted with it because I do it in all of my classes right now. It is the breath that we use because we really need to do this 2 to 3 minutes every day to improve our lung capacity, to explore and clear out the gunk that can collect at the edges, and to keep our immune system boosted so that we can fight off whatever germs might be trying to come inside. So the breath works like this. We're gonna breathe into the 3 major portions of the lungs. And so breathing in, begin breathing into the nose, into the belly. It's really the lower lobes of the lungs, but it feels like it's the belly. Keep breathing up into the lungs, the upper lobes of the lungs, into the chest. And now keep breathing. Sip, sip, sniff until you feel it up in your throat. These are the bronchioles that we feel, the top parts of the lung, portion of the lung. Pause and hold that full breath for a few heartbeats, only as you're comfortable. Don't cause anxiety. Just do it as long as you like. You don't have to be with me. And then when you're ready to exhale, lean forward and blow out all the candles in one big breath like this. So let's do this. Let's practice it together. Inhale into the belly. Inhale into the chest. Inhale up into the throat. Sip, sip, pause, hold, only as you like. And when you're ready, on your own, lean forward and blow it all out. Feel your diaphragm. Feel your abdominal muscles, your belly. Push to get out all that air so that you're empty. This is very important to use this strength. And so it takes leaning forward to emphasize and to help the body empty the lower lobes of the lungs. Our lungs naturally collect the thicker, stale, wetter air, the moist air that settles in the lower lobes of our lungs. And that is often where problems begin. So we need to clear it out. This is us dredging, right? Dredging our ponds or cleaning out our basements. This is us doing that. And we've got to get that last moist corners really cleaned out. And so it takes leaning forward and blowing it all out. Strong, strong, strong. Push out all that air. And then breathing big, full, deep. I'd like you to do it again. Do a couple on your own. 3-stage, into the belly, into the chest, up into the throat. Hold it just for as long as you're comfortable. Heartbeats, there's no contest, no prize. And then lean forward and blow it all out. Do it again. And I'm going to share with you some words from one of my favorite contemporary philosophers, poet, Young Pueblo, from his book Inward of a few years ago. Reclaiming our power, healing ourselves, loving ourselves, knowing ourselves. These phrases are becoming more and more common. Why? Because they are the pathways to our own freedom and happiness. And this is where AARP Florida is helping all of us by providing us programming and opportunities to heal ourselves, love ourselves, know ourselves, so that we can move toward freedom and happiness in this community. And I'm so glad you're here with me and us at AARP Florida today for this class. Let's start by bringing hands together at Heart Center. I'm going to chant the sound Om. I'm going to chant it once. I would like you to join me. You're muted or you're watching this on the recording, so it doesn't matter who hears you, but it's important to actually sing or hum aloud, because the vibration that we create when we're singing and chanting and holding a note or vocalizing causes vibrations that are really good for our chest glands, our neck glands, and our head glands. So let's do this together. Inhale. Bow your head into your heart space and feel your breath on your hands. Feel the warmth. And then bring your hands to your forehead, press your thumbs between your brow, and look up, tilt your head, lift your chin, and breathe here. Only as is comfortable for your neck, for your body. But allow this draining, this opening, this flow from head through neck and throat, through chest into belly. And then lower your head, Bring your hands down and open your eyes. All right. Now we're going to get started with some Kundalini spinal movements. If you've practiced with me before, you will be acquainted with them. And if you haven't, then I will make sure I explain them enough that you can understand what we're doing and join us. Shift your feet now, because we've been sitting for a few minutes. Shift your feet so that the other leg, the other foot is in front, so that we can take turns in the distribution of body weight with our body parts, the players on our team, so to speak. We're going to start out doing some pelvic tilting. This is really good for the sacrum, the very base of our spine. And so with hands on the knees, we're just going to rock back and forth. Inhale forward, exhale, roll back. Rocking back and forth, slowly, smoothly, feeling the stretch, listening to any snap, crackle, popping, and then maybe picking up the pace just a little bit. Sniff and blow. Inhale, exhale. This is light breathing, not big, full, deep breaths here. We would hyperventilate, and that would not be good for yoga. So we're just moving the body gently back and forth, moving the base of the spine, moving our pelvis, tilting it forward and back. Nicely done. All right. Now let's open up sideways by following the advice of our ribs, which tell us to move horizontally in their formation. Bring your hands to your shoulders, lift your elbows up as if you're trying to poke the walls from side to side. So lift your elbows as high as you can, open up, feel this side stretch, feel the ribs lift. And now we're going to twist and turn. So just lightly twist and turn. You can keep your head and neck straight, looking forward if you like, or you can turn from side to side, but that can bother equilibrium and then we're dizzy, which is again, not so good for yoga. So twisting and turning, if you want to add the breath to it, then sniff on the left and blow on the right. Twisting and turning side to side, moving, opening. And now that it's been a few seconds doing this, you might feel the warmth, the lubrication, the synovial fluid that is now allowing our joints, our bones, our vertebra, our spinal column to move more smoothly. And you might find that you can go a little farther from side to side, or a little faster if you wanted to rev up the engine. All right, nice. Come to center. Take a breath to settle down. You'll feel the flush because that's what we're doing. We're moving the circulation of our lymph, of our endocrine system, of our circulatory system. So we're going to feel it, and that's good. Now let's do some shoulder movements. We're going to do a few things. We're going to work the spine and we're going to work our shoulder girdle at the same time. So join me with your hands on your shoulders. Now we're going to pretend we're swimming with our elbows. So from side to side, move the torso while you're reaching that elbow forward as if we're swimming. Really exaggerate it. Get that elbow as high up to the ceiling as you can, which means we lean to the side in order to get that hip and waistline and ribs open enough that we can lift the arm. Oh, so good. Now let's do the backstroke. Back. We'll do 5 strokes on each side. You can do it at your pace. You don't have to do exactly what I'm doing. Oh, back and back, big strokes. Reach and lean. Oh, all right. Now we're going to get fancy. Let's do the butterfly stroke. which I could never do very well in the water, but I can do pretty well here on the yoga mat. So with elbows again. So now we're going to move the spine, really exaggerate it. Elbows down, then reach, stretch up and come forward. Lean forward, then pull down, curl up, reach up, curl down, reach up, curl down. One more, reach up. All right, now let's do back reverse butterfly, which does not exist in the swimming pool. Inhale up, oh, curl down. Inhale up and back and down. Inhale up and back and down. One more. Inhale up and back and down. Oh, feeling it a lot, which is good. This is what we need to work. We need to work our core. We need to strengthen our back and our core relationship. And we absolutely need to increase mobility and the length, the endurance of our side body, of our hips and shoulders, and this relationship here. So now let's work a little bit on some neck stuff. I'd like you to lower your chin as if you're clearing your throat. And slide your ears back. This is lining up the vertebra, the cervical spine, so that our ears are lined up over our shoulders. Now, using the nose as our guide, let's turn the head by tracing the baseboards, tracing the floor vertically. So here we go. Inhale to prep. Exhale, use the nose and slowly pivot the head. Just turn, rotate the neck to look over behind one shoulder, move the eyes all the way into the corners, looking as far back as you can. Be here for another breath. And then come forward. Pause and let all of that twinkling or flushing happening. That's what we want. That's how we know we're working it, because we can feel the flushing, the movement of energy and circulation in our body. Let's do the other side now. Check your neck, slide your ears back, and now slowly pivot the neck, pivot the head, turn the neck, and push all the way into that thickness. Push into the sludge, move your eyes to the very corners, look back, check your peripheral vision, breathe here. So good. And then come to center and pause and feel the shift, feel the change, the flushing, the draining. Good stuff. All right, now let's come onto hands and knees. So let's do some kneeling work. On hands and knees, check that your wrists and elbows and shoulders are lined up and knees are under hips. We don't want to feel like we're rhombus or we don't want to be a parallelogram. We want to be more of a rectangle, if that could be the case, right? We want to be a stick figure with lots of 90-degree angles. On the floor, have your hands be wide, big spread fingers, and then check your wrist lines, and have the wrist lines be parallel with each other and parallel with the edge of your mat. And if it hurts you for arthritis or for tendonitis, then don't press your whole hand onto the floor. We can do a couple different things. You can move up onto fists, and you can use fists to protect your wrists, or you can roll your mat a time or two and then place the palm of your hand where the lines are in the palm of your hand. Place the palm of your hand at the edge of the rolled mat. So now your fingers and maybe even the tip of your thumb are off the mat and they're reaching the floor. And so the wrist is elevated, and that often helps relieve any wrist pain that you might be having. If you have other complications, this might not be a pose that you want to do. And so you can come down onto your elbows, or you can push back into child's pose anytime to rest in between poses or to take a break until I am doing something that your body can join in. So from here, from kneeling, we're going to do some balancing, what's called spinal balance. Inhale one arm, reach it forward as if you're shaking a hand. The thumb is pointing up and you're reaching the arm forward. And then press the opposite leg back. Just press it, almost like you're stepping down from a stair. And so you're pressing that foot away and you're reaching the hand forward. Squeeze both into the midline as if you're trying to squeeze against air, but we're not crossing crooked. We're staying straight. We're staying in the same line, but we're just bringing our attention into our center line, and that helps us be stable as we breathe and balance in this position. So good. Come on down. And let's move to the other side. Inhale the arm up. Exhale the back leg down. And breathe here. Pulling ourselves apart. Stretching and reaching and balancing. This is so good for the aging brain. Once we're over 50, we need to do extra care to keep our brain active, to come up with new ways to move the neural synapses, and to challenge ourselves. And this is why we do things like this. All right, we're going to visit each side a second time. We can add a little extra to it if you're ready. If you're not ready, just stay with what we did the first time. Inhale, arm up. Exhale, leg back. You can stay here and breathe, or join me, and we're going to work on some balance and strength by bringing the elbow to the knee under our belly. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, knee to elbow. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, curl. Inhale, reach. Exhale, curl. Inhale, reach. Exhale, down. Other side. Inhale, arm. Exhale, leg. Stay here or join me. Inhale, reach. Exhale, tuck. Inhale, extend. Exhale, curl. Inhale, reach. Exhale, together. Inhale, reach. Exhale, back. So good. Spread the knees wide, and then allow yourself to come down into child's pose, where you shift your hips back over your haunches, over your heels, and we want to rest the head. So it might be that your physiology feels better, your body feels better if you stack your fists and rest your forehead on stacked fists. It might be that you can stack your hands and that feels good. It might be that this doesn't feel good for you at all if you have knee issues or hip issues. So I'm going to show you a few things. This is where 1 or 2 or 3 blankets and towels really help things get better. So if it hurts underneath your knee, then certainly anytime we need to, then put blanket or towel underneath your entire shin bone, and that will help your knees feel better on the floor. If it hurts to bend your knees and you can't put your body weight back over onto your knees, then put the rolled or folded blanket or towel behind your thigh, between your knee crease, and this can relieve the tension and help support your hips without causing dilemma to your knees. Some of us have problems with our ankles because our feet don't extend, our feet don't stretch. And so it hurts us because our ankles don't go flat toward the floor. And the way to do that is to roll that blanket or towel so that it is underneath your ankles. and that allows the flexion, allows the space to be supported while you lie here in child's pose. Breathe here. You've perhaps been in child's pose for a bit now while I was explaining and demonstrating the various modifications you can do for your body. But stay for another breath. Allow your belly to fall between your thighs. Allow your chest to be heavy and come down toward the floor. So good. All right, now let's come up onto hands and knees and press down into downward facing dog. Downward facing dog, we have our hands firmly on the floor, big wide starfish hands, big wide fingers, and our feet are on the floor, our hands are on the floor, and we lift our hips up in the air and bring our heads down to listen to our arms, to listen to our biceps, to listen to our elbows. Breathe here. For some people, this is not an easy pose. For others, this is a resting pose. It depends on how long you've been practicing. We're going to be here for a few breaths, and you can experience it a few different ways to feel the stretch. We want arms to be straight. We want spine to be stretched out long. We want legs to feel the stretch, but they might not look straight. Your knees might be bent a lot, but you're still feeling the stretch happening. The stretch can be happening in your ankles. It can be happening behind in your calves. It can be happening in your glutes, right here in your hips, right? And or that back down in your hamstrings. So maybe bend one knee a lot and let the other leg go towards straight. And you can even twist a little and feel that stretch, feel that lengthening, or just feel that sensation. Maybe nothing moves, but you're just feeling the sensation. If you do it on one side, do it on the other and stay for a full breath, feeling that. Come back to center now and look up between your hands, and we're going to bring one foot forward. I'm bringing my right foot. You can choose. I'm bringing my right foot forward to meet where my hands are on the mat. This time, you're going to notice my back knee is behind my hips. I'm not 90 degrees. I am farther back. But my front foot is 90 degrees. The ankle is below the knee. And this is to help our alignment. It's to help our body move mechanically and efficiently. So from here, bring your hands to your thigh and inhale, lift your torso. And open up your lungs and lift your heart up as if we're trying to shine out and make big breaths. We're going to be here for a few breaths, so you choose what's comfortable for you. Maybe we sag a little, and when we sag a little, the knee goes forward. It might go a little forward of the ankle, and you're going to feel when the hips get heavy and we sag, you're going to feel this stretch all down this line. It can feel a little prickly. It might not feel comfortable, but you can tell that, oh, it's probably a good thing. It's not detrimental. If it doesn't feel good at all, don't go there and come back enough that you are supported by that leg, by that thigh and knee underneath your hip. So here we've been. If you've been sagging with me, you are. And if not, we're just here. Now, let's see what it's like to bring the arms up in the air and support our torso and use our abdominal core strength. So for that, I am going to shift back slightly so that my supporting thigh is bearing the weight of my hips. Inhale, my arms up, and your arms up. I forget you're with me on the other end of that camera. So let's all of us put our arms up if it feels good to you. If not, bring the hands back to the thigh, and that's fine too. And reach up, reach back. Feel this big, long extension. So good. Whew. Come down to the floor. One hand is on the floor next to the foot. The other hand is on the knee. Inhale, long spine. Exhale, turn into that front thigh, turn into that front knee, and squeeze the knee into the ribs, squeeze the knee into that center line. And this back hand now can do a few things. It can come to the hip and turn and look over that shoulder, look over that elbow. Or if your shoulder and rotator cuff feel healthy, you can reach the arm up into the air and squeeze that shoulder blade back behind your lungs, behind your heart space. If the arm extended does not work for you, you can bring your hand to your shoulder and lift your elbow up and still receive the benefit of this full stretch without the extension and the anchoring of the shoulder. Breathe here and then come out of it, shift back, and now we're going to move into child's pose again. You know how to do it this time for the best way that works for your body. So shift your hips back into child's pose. You're going to see me shift a little. Before I put my head down, I'm going to wiggle. I want to move my belly over to one thigh and then move my belly over to the other thigh. I have a low back spinal injury, lumbar spine injury from Army, paratrooper. And so you're going to see me sometimes take some movement because I have to cajole my body parts sometimes. They can't go directly. They're like petulant teenagers, I think, in the car when you're out running errands and you have to or in their room and you're trying to get them to the dinner table. And so I have to cajole them and do some discussion with the body parts so that I can move into the pose. Breathe here. If you have stacked your hands or stacked your fist like you did the first time, take a turn so the other hand is on top. And soften and breathe and be here. And now let's come up and do the other side. So move up into downward facing dog. Check your wrist lines so they are parallel. Push the floor away so the arms are long and straight. Push the spine long. Lift your tailbone, lift your hips up into the air. Bring your head to listen to your arms. Have your arms be right there next to your ears. Maybe the knees are bent so that you can really feel your low back. Maybe your legs straighten and then you feel it more in your hamstrings and not so much in your back. You choose how you want to experience this pose. Anytime you practice yoga with anybody, whoever the teacher is, you always get to choose what you're doing and how you're doing it. The teacher just offers suggestions. The teacher just is sharing with you some possibilities. But when it's your practice, you do what's best for your body. Okay, let's come forward, shift your body weight forward, bring your eyes to your hands, and bring that other foot forward, and let's visit the other side. Find your alignment. Ankle is plumb to the knee. And then open up the heart, open up the lungs, lift the torso upright. Start out with hands on the thigh, supporting. And then perhaps we drop into it and we allow the hips to be heavy and we lean a little forward and we feel the pull, the stretch. Be here. Okay, if we're here, this is not a good place to try and do the strength piece of it. This is the stretch piece of it. So we have to shift. We have to shift our hips back so that now the bottom leg can actually support us when we lift our torso upright. So inhale, arms up and lean back. Maybe look up, maybe gaze at the high horizon, that intersection of ceiling and wall. Breathing here. So good. Okay. Whew. Sometimes the back knee starts talking. Come back, bring the hand to match that front foot, and the other hand is on the thigh. From here, inhale, long spine, exhale, turn into it. Turn, squeeze the leg, squeeze that knee into the ribs. And then this back hand has choices. It can come to the hip as we look over. It can rise into the air if that feels good for your shoulder. Or you can have hand on shoulder and lift your elbow up. And you still feel the connection from elbow to shoulder, arm's eye, rib, waistline, hip. You'll feel that entire muscle chain relationship, the players on your team. Whew, come back now. And let's return to downward facing dog. So push up into downward facing dog. Find the expression of the pose that works for you. And maybe, just to play around, what does it feel like if you push one hand into the floor and the opposite leg into the floor? Like we did on that spinal balance when we were on hands and knees. Maybe it's as if we're trying to push the floor away with one hand and the opposite foot. Let's switch sides. Push the floor away with one hand and the opposite foot and feel that leg extend. I notice that one of my foot that's not working bends a little so that I can shift into the hips. So good. Look up between the hands and walk or step or jump up into forward fold. And hang here in forward fold. In the beginning, in forward fold, our hamstrings might be too tight and they don't like to be stretched. They don't like to be told what to do. Our hamstrings, they're very vocal players on our team. So bend your knees a lot. Maybe even let your belly rest on your thighs. Maybe grab your elbows and hang, just drape over. Let your head be heavy. Let your neck be soft. And breathe here. It takes 2 minutes sometimes, as long as 2 minutes, for our brain patterns to shift and change and accommodate and accept the new way of doing something. So if you have injuries or if you have low back pain or tight hips, we need to stay still in the forest. It's almost as if we're trying to lure the wild creatures, the little feral animals, to feed the rabbits. We have to sit really still for them to come out of the woods, out of the grasses, and come up to us. Now, bring fingertips to the floor or to a block, you choose. And then let's twist. So we're still upside down. And let's twist, walk the hands all the way around to one side. And then walk the hands all the way over to the other side. And then come forward. We've been upside down for a while, so we're going to do this carefully. Bend your knees a lot. Bring your hands to your hips and stay bent over looking at the floor. So our elbows are squeezing back. Our face is looking down. Our back is flat. And now push down firmly and strongly to come up to standing. And pause and wait here. Let the flush and the drain happen without rushing into any additional movement. Okay. Now let's play around with some balance. So I'm going to move my kneeling blanket. And from standing up tall, legs are strong and straight, but the knees are soft, as if you were dancing a little. Or if you played ball, anytime you were ready to receive or throw a pass, your knees had to be soft because you were using our muscles to do the motion. So that's the same in yoga. That's actually the same in your daily life. When you find yourself standing for a while, whatever it is you're doing, in your chores or errands or standing at your desk, Unlock your knees. Let your muscles do the work, not stacking the joints. When we stack the joints, it's as if we turn the valve off and the circulation stops, and it's not healthy for us. So unlock the knees, wiggle, wiggle. Strong leg, soft knee. Bring one knee up. So good. And we're going to move into tree pose. And tree has lots of options. If you have not practiced yoga before and you're doing tree for the first time with me today, thank you for joining, and I'm glad you're here. You might want to start out with the foot touching the toes, touching the floor, and the heel up next to the shin, up next to the ankle. This is rooted tree. You might also want to have your fingers on a wall or chair or counter or back of a sofa so that we practice balancing but not practice falling. We don't want to practice that. We want to practice balancing here. If you are more acquainted and balancing is in your repertoire, or you're wanting to try it, especially if you do have fingertips to help you practice, perhaps bring the foot up onto the shin. The entire foot is not on the knee. Nothing is touching the knee. If you are more experienced and you would like to bring that foot all the way up onto the thigh bone, again, it needs to be so high that the toes are not touching the knee. The knee does not go sideways well, so we don't want anything pushing against it that might cause injury. You're going to see me wobbling. It takes a lot of movement to be still. Bring your hands to heart center, maybe, or if you have one hand touching, you can have one hand on your heart. You choose. Now, raise that arm or both arms, the branches of your tree or your saguaro cactus. Express your pose as you like. Press that foot, press it into the leg. When you push it into the leg, this is physics, opposite and equal reaction, action, reaction. The legs get strong, and this pulls us together into the center so that we can be stable and secure. Unless you're talking like I am, which makes me wobble. All right, let's come out and shift. Let's do a little skating, figure skating, or I mean speed skating. So from side to side, do a little skate action, bend the knee, shift the hip from side to side, get some circulation. And now let's do balancing on the other side. Here we go. Strong leg, soft knee. Bring the other knee up. You choose rooted tree, low tree, or high tree. You choose. You don't ever have to look like anybody else. You do what's best for your body today, not the body you had a year ago or a week ago, but the body you have today, which is why practicing yoga is so entertaining, because every time you're on the mat, it's new. Every time it's a different body you're in because you've never been in this day, in this moment, and I love it. So with one hand on your heart or both hands together, stay here and then move up into your expression. Move into your cactus or your branch. If you are very comfortable balancing and you want to practice being a willow tree or blowing in the winds of, I'm coming to you from Tampa, Florida, and we've had some windy rain. So if you want to be some windy trees, you can practice that. Sometimes I can, and sometimes I can't. Breathe. Be as tall as you can in this sturdy tree. Press that foot into the thigh so that the thigh, the leg, the trunk of the tree gets strong and sturdy and stable in this foundation. Bring your hands together and come on out of it. And let's do some more skating from side to side. Move from side to side. Yes, so good. Okay, now let's do some warrior and triangle poses. So let's start by taking a wide-legged stance. So the feet are very wide. You choose how wide. Mine are about as wide as my wrists. If I hold my arms out, my hands out, you can probably see my ankles are about as where my wrists or hands are. But you choose. It might be that this is better for you. There's no contest or comparison. You do what's best for you. Remember, knees are soft so that you can wiggle. We could salsa even like this. Okay, so turn one foot away from you and the other foot stays where it is. So we have 1 foot vertical and 1 foot horizontal. Bend that front knee. The foot that's pointing away, bend that knee toward those toes, and then push that leg open as if you're holding a gate, holding a door. Push it open so that you can see your toes. And breathe here. Lower the hips, let the hips come down. And you'll notice I'm inching my feet. As the hips come down, if you have the strength and the mobility to extend, we want the knee to stay over the ankle or behind it. We don't want to bend the knee so much that the knee is forward of the ankle. That is not healthy for our knee. It hurts too much. Might not hurt today, but it will hurt later. So protect the knee by keeping the alignment that you have in this pose. This is warrior 2. Stay here. If you've been in it, you've been breathing, and you're rolling your eyes at me saying, yes, you're here, we're staying in it. All right, come on up and stay here for a breath. And now we're going to lean forward and move into triangle pose. So first, reach for that wall or counter. Reach, and then tip over like a windmill. One hand down on the shin or the ankle or the floor or a block if you're an experienced yoga practitioner. And the other arm can be in the air. Or again, the hand can be on the shoulder and the elbow is in the air and it still pulls this muscle line. Or we can relieve all of this tension and have the hand on the hip and you turn your chin and nose to look over that elbow, to look over that shoulder. You feel what works for you and you choose best for your body. Being here, triangle pose, both legs are straight, spine is straight. Bend the knee and then bring the elbow to rest on that thigh. And now stretch that arm over the ear and reach. Turn the pinky finger down and the thumb up as if you're shaking a hand. And reach for this big stretch. Strong arm supporting you underneath, strong hand. Everybody's on the field in this play. Or on the ice, right? There's a big game tonight. And then come on up. Whew. Take a breath and let's do the other side. So now the other foot turns away. So we have 1 foot that is vertical or horizontal and 1 foot that is vertical. Okay, bend that knee and push the knee over, push it open. You'll feel that here, this is what we're working right here. We're going sideways. This is the opposite of how we sit and stand or walk or run or even swim. So this is what we need. If you want to improve your golf game, come to yoga class because this really helps you so that your hips can pivot in your swing. This is what we need. We need to open up and get sideways. So come on here, join me in warrior 2. Sink your hips down as you're comfortable. It's strong. We're working this front leg. Move that knee open. Breathe in it. I've been talking. You've been the one in the pose. So come out of it when you've had enough. When you have visited this side, the same amount of time as you visited the first side, then come on out of it. So we're going to straighten the leg. Now we're moving into triangle. Lean. The legs are straight. We're leaning at the hips, leaning at the waist. And then pivot the arms down. One arm down, one arm up. Again, make the modification to accommodate your shoulder and your arm health. If this doesn't feel good, does it help to have the hand on the shoulder and the elbow up? If this still doesn't feel good, if it's not accessible for you today, then bring the hand to the hip and turn and look over that elbow, look over that shoulder. And breathe. The legs are straight. The spine is straight. Breathe here. And now let's bend that knee and come up. And now we're going to reach the arm up overhead. So reach the arm overhead. Sometimes this isn't accessible depending on what injuries you have in your shoulder. So sometimes coming down from below helps us more anatomically or biomechanically achieve the same end state. So from all my injuries, I've learned the various methods to take really good care of the physical body while giving it the movement that it needs to stay strong, to stay mobile, to stay functional, especially as I age. And I'm really glad you're joining me here today for this. Thank you. All right, let's come up to standing. Whew, that was a lot. Let's come down to the floor. So come on down to the floor, and we're going to sit. I'm going to sit on my rolled blanket. I encourage you to sit a little higher also. It helps your hips with respect to the ground. So one leg out long and one leg bent. Turn your ribs toward that long leg. It's already going to, perhaps it might feel tight already just by turning, just by rotating the torso toward that foot that's far away. You might already feel the stretch. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, lean forward. Reach that opposite arm over to that leg. And you're going to see me again shifting my hips from side to side. This is where I get to cajole or negotiate with my low back, with my injured spine to allow this movement. I can't always go in directly. I have to come in indirectly. I have to be sneaky. So reach this hand, the opposite arm of this straight leg, reach it to either grab the shin or the calf, maybe the foot. You choose what works for you. And then the other hand, I have it off to the side and I push in it slightly to help me feel the rotation, to help me extend and breathe into the belly, into the ribs. It allows me to open up the pelvis. Breathe here. So good. All right, push up to sitting, and let's visit the other side. So now the other leg is long, and the second leg is bent. You're going to notice also, if you were watching me right here, I rotate. It helps to set up the leg in what we call an inner spiral, internal rotation. So I actually use my hands to move my leg, to shift the flesh, the muscle and bone, and to adjust the leg as if I'm trying to turn it inward. The leg doesn't stay turned inward, but I want that sensation because that helps it in the hip socket. It helps all of this relationship. Okay, inhale, arms up. Turn the ribs toward that knee, toward that long foot, and then reach all the way over. And then when you reach the sticky or the prickly parts, right, that's the briar patch, then maybe shifting from side to side might help as you move your hips a little and allow that adjustment, allow the accommodation to happen. Reach that hand, that opposite hand, to wherever is reaching for you that works. And then I like to move my other hand, my free hand, off the mat to the side. I have pointy elbow, and then I push into the floor as if I'm trying to open up my ribs, open up my low back, open up my side body, and breathe. You choose how you want to experience this pose. Bring those toes back, flex the foot. This is a long stretch. But sometimes it's not just stretching the leg, it is allowing that connection of the back through the hips to the leg. Because when we use our body, we don't tend to just use one body part. It's not discrete like that. It is a relationship. We work this machinery all together. So come out of it, sit up. Oh, so good. And we're running out of time. I always have so much fun with you. So I hope we could do this again soon with another Hatha class because I have lots of options. We could even do a series maybe sometime. That might be something to suggest so that we can play together and grow in our practice. Let's come on down. We're gonna come down onto our backs. Grab your thighs behind your knees and round your back. Round, 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 round. And then slowly, slowly, slowly drop yourself, roll yourself all the way back onto your back. Bring your knees with you and rock slightly, gently from side to side. Let your low back feel that. Hug your knees in. Let your low back feel that. This can be really good. Sometimes this is what we have to do before getting out of bed in the morning, right? We have to stretch that low back so that we can get the movement to be able to stand up. I tell you what, aging is not for wimps, and it certainly keeps my sense of humor robust. Okay, bring your feet to the floor. Have the feet be wide at the edges of the mat. And then let both knees fall over to one side. And then come up and fall over to the other side. Come up again and fall over. And we're going to hang out here. It doesn't feel like much, but we're going to be in it for a minute. And you'll feel the contortion. You'll feel the pull of the hip. Maybe one buttock is off the mat because you're crooked. One knee is heavy. One knee is hanging out in the air. It's a crooked pose. This is on purpose. This is the opposite of how we sit and stand all day. This is the opposite of being in our desk chairs or even be in our car seats. Put your arms out wide. Turn the palms up. Squeeze your shoulder blades. Press your hands on the floor as if you're trying to do a backwards hug. Like press, press, press. Big expansion here. So good. Are you ready? Let's come up. Maybe bring the hands to help the knees come up. And now let the knees fall over to the other side. So good. Spread the arms out. Big breath, big belly breath. Soften the torso. Let the chest be heavy. Let the shoulders be heavy. And just stretch the arms, squeeze, maybe press the hands, the backs of the hands, press them into the floor as if you're trying to open up your chest, open up your lungs. Breathe here. So good. Allowing the hips to be crooked, allowing the knees to just be wherever they are, hanging out in the air. All right, and now come back to center. Lengthen your legs. Reach your arms down by your sides. Now, you're going to stay lying here. I'm going to come sitting. This is your final pose. This is resting pose. I'm going to come to sitting, but you stay resting. You stay sitting there. I'm going to come up and finish class and hand it over to Michelle so that she can share with you news about upcoming events with AARP Florida programming. Thank you so much for joining me with class tonight. I look forward to seeing you again next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia. Wow, I love these classes. Every time I feel like I'm discovering a new muscle that I didn't know existed before. And so thank you for those amazing stretches. I'm already starting to feel it. And now that Sonia's got you all relaxed and ready to have a fabulous evening, let me also get you excited because, as I mentioned before, AARP Florida has a ton of virtual events tailored to every interest. And so just to name a few of those, tomorrow morning, you're welcome to join us here at the AARP Florida YouTube or Facebook page for an intro to balance, strength, and toning. That's at 9 a.m. On Monday, we'll be back again with an introduction to Tai Chi for health. We're also going to be doing a wonderful virtual event writing cards to veterans. And on Tuesday, it's Tech Training Tuesday at 2, where we're going to have some more Zoom sessions for anyone who's interested in maybe even hosting their own Zoom social gatherings or meetings. We have so many virtual offerings for anyone of any interest, so be sure to check out the AARP Florida Facebook page, or you can see it all, the entire list, on our website at aarp.org/FL. Now, again, as I mentioned before, these recordings, these live streams are recorded. So if you missed part of it, or you want to enjoy it again over the weekend or share it with friends or family, please do so. All those videos can be available at the AARP YouTube channel. All right, I hope everyone had a wonderful time during today's Sonia's class today, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Have a wonderful evening.